Hey, North fans, something a little bit different today. It's not Joe, but we've got our roaming reporter, Corey. It's his first appearance on the show. So, if you like seeing him, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. Let him know in the comments, hey, Corey, I've seen you on Facebook. I've seen you on all these different posts saying North Melbourne's amazing. Yeah, nice to hear from you. How you doing, Corey?
Good.
Good. Welcome to the show. So just kind of for the fans that don't know you, like, have you been keeping up with AFLW? What team do you go for? I mean, like, most fans should know what team you go for by kind of this show today.
So I've been obviously following AFLW since season one, and obviously got into North when obviously they came in 2019, and just been following that pretty hard ever since.
Yeah, because North Melbourne's like your men's team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course. I can tell if you're not going to show us the shirt, the shirts, yeah, typical North Melbourne.
Yep.
Kind of, it was an interesting season for us, wasn't it? Being like our first time in the grand final, but really our first time since 2020 that we have been as competitive. Is that pretty fair to say?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. What do you think kind of brought that on? Like just the team maturing, or we got some new players in?
I think the
factor for that?
I think the new recruits, like Eliza Shannon, Puller, and then like Sheila as an extra tall forward, sort of helped in like games where we could easily win, and then like get in front because we're taller than most of the rest.
Yeah, definitely. I flagged that a little bit in our grand final preview video. Was North Melbourne's in a unique position because a lot of the women players aren't as tall, right? That if you've got a few tall forwards that are mobile, it's a pretty big advantage.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. So as the fans know from the show, I wasn't there at the grand final, but you were there at the grand final.
Yep, sure was.
Yeah. And we've just got you on today to do a bit of, a bit of a report of someone who was there, but then also someone who's pretty knowledgeable at the game. I've only really joined AFLW maybe mostly this year because fantasy, but obviously following North Melbourne, you follow it along that way. But yeah, here for a bit of a report, Corey. We might take it a little bit piece by piece and kind of get your thoughts on a little bit more than just what people saw from the TV. Does that sound good?
Yep, sure does.
Perfect. All right. So what was it like pre-game there? Well, no, I know there was a bit of a call from people to try and make it at Marvel, but I think the BBL was on, or some, they're fixing it up for cricket. What was the atmosphere like there? Because I know they had to re-release tickets, right?
Yeah, towards the end, they had to release just a few extra because it obviously sold out, and then obviously it was like full like the full ground atmosphere was good. But I think what could have changed was the way the pre-game entertainment was set up, where G Flip was only facing the interchange bench and not like with everyone. So it looked you could hardly see what was going on.
Yeah, I definitely had heard some complaints of some fans who were on the other side and were like, hey, this entertainment's on here. Why isn't it in the middle? They're all facing off in the corner.
Yeah, with the grandstand underneath out of the sun. Like a lot of people were seeing people's backs, like couldn't even see like Sabrina Frederick or Jessie Wardlaw playing the drums and stuff like that.
Was the music okay though?
Yeah, it was okay, yeah.
It was all right. Good. At least that's something, right? Like you can screw up the positioning, but at least if the music's okay, it's not too bad.
Yep.
Yeah. Would you say that it was majority North Melbourne people there, or were there a fair amount of Brisbane supporters that had come down?
No, majority North, for sure.
Majority North. Okay. Yeah. It's a bit of a tricky one because if it was two like Melbourne-based teams, I think would have, probably been a bit more even. Is that fair to say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
kind of watching it from the TV, the atmosphere and a lot of the fans were really hyped because I know North Melbourne had been doing a lot of like pre-game entertainment, but a lot of videos during the week. Did you catch any of those of like family members flying in and all that kind of stuff?
Yep, sure did. Yep,
Yeah. Did that kind of pump you up?
sure. Yeah, sure did. Like
Yeah.
all the videos with like Jazzy Garner's brother and
Hmm.
how he's like so into the team and everything.
Yeah. And I know there was some things of was it Neve Martin? Like her family came and then maybe Ferguson and a couple of others, like their family members came from other
Yeah, it
states
was
to watch.
Erica's family and Alice O'Loughlin's brother flew
Yeah.
down from Northern Territory, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like they got everyone to come down. No wonder they run out of tickets, right? Everyone's got all their
Yeah,
family members coming.
yep,
Yeah. So we might just kind of go a little bit into the first quarter now. Something happened right at the start that kind of, would you argue, set the tone for the whole game?
sure did. Yep.
Yeah. What was that?
So that was when Jenna Bruton goes to spoil the ball,
Hmm.
and then she falls down, holds a like Achilles, and then is pretty much knew when she was getting carried off, she was gone for the whole game.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure now it's actually been confirmed that Achilles is done, and then she's going to be out for like the next 6 months minimum.
Yep.
It's a big blow, and I said it in the initial reactions video that I did, where when a player like that gets injured, and she's pretty influential, it's fair to say, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like when that type of player goes down, if you knew she was injured before the game, you can plan for a little bit, but to have it happen like 2 minutes into the game, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. Do you think that kind of we'll go through each quarter as we went, but do you think the girls kind of compensated for that quite well, or was there a big hole for not, like if Jazz Garner got injured, we'd be in real strife, right? Do you think with Bruton getting injured, we were able to cover a little bit, or it was a big miss?
I think we could cover for 3 quarters, but
Hmm.
not in the. I don't think in the fourth quarter. I
Yeah.
think that was a big miss.
Yeah, definitely. I know, like these kind of experienced players, right? The ones that have quite a few games, even if they don't get looked up to as much as your household favorites, they play a pretty crucial role with a lot of the younger players. And I know we'll talk about it a little bit in the fourth quarter of who missed out and who did really well if she was going to play or not.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So just going back to the first quarter, I think it was, what was it, 0-6. So we scored a goal, Brisbane didn't score a goal, and it was 0-0 for a majority of that quarter. What did you kind of see from being on the field that maybe we hadn't had seen from watching
Oh,
on TV?
It seemed like it looked like it was really like contested,
Hmm.
where there was a lot of tackles just left, right, and center. And
Yeah.
then I thought Brisbane was going to be out when they were getting a
Hmm.
lot of like intercepts and stuff like that.
Okay. Like Brisbane's defenders were getting intercepts or North
Oh
players
yeah,
were getting.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. It was a bit of a tricky one. I know I'll touch on it a little bit in the third and fourth quarter, but Brisbane's kind of like a bit like Collingwood in the men's game, where when they get the ball from the defense, they can just break open lines and, really separate the players. They've got a lot of really quick players. And we saw that later on where like 2 kicks and they were down in the other side's forward line. So it's
yeah.
pretty
That was.
tricky. Yeah. You reckon that was a bit of the game plan, being like, hey, look, we know what Brisbane's going to do. Let's try and nullify that a bit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Um, Heading on to the second quarter. Oh, no, that's not one. Heading on to the second quarter. Um, I don't know what it is about North Melbourne. I think the men's team do it as well. But whenever we get a break, we like slow down and then we just lose all the momentum. Is that pretty fair to say?
Yeah.
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 So we obviously finished off the second quarter. We went from 0-6 to now 14-13. So they scored 13 points. We only scored 7. No, 7. We scored 8 points. Like, what really happened there?
I just think I don't know. Brisbane started to get momentum, I think, and
Mm,
I think when Mullins kicked that goal, I think there was not really pretty much defense defensive pressure from Sarah Wright and Jazz Ferguson. They just looked at the ball, and then it just kept bouncing and bouncing, and went through the goals. So
I
think
then
they sort of got the momentum. Yeah,
I think there was a couple of goals like that, or at least passages of play later on in the game where maybe the guys were just maybe the ladies were just getting a bit tired, right? It's really hard to apply pressure for 4 quarters, just consistently. Maybe one of the things that you would say, like, they were a more experienced older team across the board, whereas we might have 2 or 3 really experienced older ones. The Brisbane team's probably a bit more experienced, you would say?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. That first goal, Mullins kicked it, was a good goal, and then Garner got her second. And I know there was a big roar from the crowd when that happened.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah, she's kind of, I mean, she just won North's best and fairest, but yeah, kind of a real polarizing and kind of steady the ship, right? I mean, she's not the captain, but she probably could have been the captain this year for them.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Is she your favorite player?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine
definitely.
too. Mine too. I know AFLW fantasy, no one picked her at the start. I'm like, you got to pick Jazzy Garner. She's going to be fantastic.
I was the one that picked her at the start.
So pretty fair to say that coming into the halftime break, Brisbane had caught up, but then also, like, we kind of begged for the break to happen because just the endurance and the pace and, the girls were getting tired heading into that point, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, but it kind of mirrored the same thing happening into the fourth quarter as well, as we'll talk about. Did you go out for food at halftime?
No.
Or you just hanging around with all the North fans?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's your are you a pies man or are you something else?
Depends.
Yeah?
What. Yeah.
What's there?
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm a bit of the same. Like, if I prepare beforehand, I mean, like, we watch a lot of games at Marvel, right? So if like the games at Marvel are there, you got to get food as you go because the lines are crazy. So you kind of stack up a little bit and then you eat as you go. Third quarter. So the third quarter kind of mirrored the first quarter a little bit, where there wasn't a lot of scoring, and then like North had kicked a goal, and we ended up being ahead a bit. Sherry Law, man, like, how good has she been for North Melbourne this year? What a pickup!
Yeah. No, she has been really good. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good player for us, and really opened up, as we spoke about at the start, that kind of forward line. Did you have any takeaways from the third quarter? Anything that kind of was really evident for you?
When, like, I think it was from when obviously Sheila took that great mark, and then Alice took the game a lot in that third quarter. She looked like she could have been, if North won, other than Garner, could have been best on ground.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, was it her or what? There was one of our players that had got like 13 contested possessions or some monster number.
I'm not sure if it was her, but it could have been Mia King. But
and it was Mia King. It was Mia King.
She got Courtney, like that, and then Courtney Hodder had 18 tackles in the whole game.
Bonkers, absolutely.
And I thought she was horrible, but
well, I guess it kind of goes down to what you were saying in the first quarter, right? Like, it was a really contested game, and the ball was kept in really tight. When the ball escaped, then goals just happened.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I know she was a bit of a polarizing player, but Dakota Davidson in that fourth quarter, man, like, North fans were just like, why is this player not injured? She should have just taken the game off. Very quick goal, 4 minutes into the fourth quarter. And then, that second goal at 10 minutes in, when they were up 34 to 27. Like, that just hurt.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Could you feel?
Yeah. What were you going to say?
Yeah. Before Dakota kicked their first one, it started from Rennie. Actually, she tapped the ball when she was trying to hit it to someone, and then I think it was Taylor Smith or Hickey, got awarded a mark when it shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that actually made Dakota kick that first goal in the quarter. And I thought from that, I think our tired selves without Bruton there, I thought, here we go, this is going to be over here.
Yeah, and like scumbag umpires giving us no free kicks when we needed them, and awarding dodgy free kicks the other way.
Yeah, and then especially later when Brisbane were up in the final quarter, like near me where I was sitting, they kicked the ball out in the full, but the two umpires said, no, it's a ball in.
Yeah.
And it was clearly out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there was a bit of talk of one of the umpires being a bit of a favourite of Brisbane, and maybe that swayed something. But as I say with everything, it's the score, the final score that dictates the stuff. If you're kicking behinds and they're kicking goals and you're missing shots, umpires can't stop you from doing that. So, yeah. The one big takeaway for me in that fourth quarter was just how much of a blowout it was. I mean, Brisbane was pretty neck and neck, and then they scored a goal, and then we didn't really get the ball in the forward 50 since then, right?
Yeah.
It was all Brisbane.
Sure was.
Yeah, they did a bit of a Melbourne 2021 when they won. Bit of a Collingwood fourth quarter action. Get you tired for 3 quarters and then go bang.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think maybe looking at the trade period at the moment, obviously we're jumping ahead a little bit, but it doesn't look like we're going to lose any more players. So moving into the new season is just going to be about building that fitness for us. It's going to make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, I think so, because I think I think missing Vicky Wall for the year was a big loss as well, because having every second week there was either Tripodi, was Ali Gavalis, or there was Neve Martin were playing, and I don't think they were up to best 21 in that team, but because we were playing so well, they weren't getting dropped because
so maybe
we were winning.
Maybe you feel a bit like North Melbourne had 18 good players and 2 or 3 that were there because we were doing so well, versus a Brisbane that had their best team playing that year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And then just icing on the cake, Brianna Cohen just kind of yep, I hate when teams do this. It's keep it close, make us not feel so bad. Bang, gets them up to 44 points. I don't know if there was grumbling in the crowd, but could you feel oh, well, it's over now,
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I left early.
You did?
Yeah.
You didn't stick around for the medals?
No. Nope.
Was there a lot of people who left, do you think? Or
when
you did?
Yeah.
At what time did you leave?
I left when it was just, I think, Bree Conan kicked the goal.
Yeah.
So not much left to go.
Yeah, 2 minutes left. You don't want to stick around for the Brisbane song.
No.
No, fair enough.
Because we had annoying supporters next
where you were?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get you. Well, I mean, that was the grand final wrap-up, I guess. Do you have anything else that we haven't spoken about the game, or kind of feelings you had going into the game that you'd like to share? Maybe did you feel like we were going to win, a bit optimistic, or you thought it was always going to be a bit of a tough game?
No, I always thought that we had a good chance to win, because obviously we've been beating Adelaide and Melbourne. But then when I thought maybe, obviously Dakota not to play, but when she was in, I thought this is going to be so tough for us to win. It's not a certainty, even though they were backing us as the favourites through the odds, and because we got the home ground advantage. But I don't think that matters, really.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. I totally agree. And even to go further on what you're saying, right? The game against Melbourne was a blowout, but the game against Adelaide was very close. And I think even the Brisbane game beforehand wasn't that, it was pretty competitive to a point as well, right?
We should have Like, there's so many games this season. We should have. We're in control with Brisbane, with Adelaide, and then we lose both by under a goal.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Hopefully, that kind of experience and full congrats to Adelaide as well, right? They out of the 8 years that AFLW's been on, I think they've been in 6 grand finals. So, I mean, they're a pretty strong team, even if they've only won 2.
Yep.
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, guys. Well, that was our wrap up of the AFL Grand Final. We're going to include a couple of photos at the end, maybe a bit of a sneaky Corey in there. So hopefully you can stick around for that. And stick around for Corey as well, because we'll have him in during the season doing some more stuff. As we said at the start, if you like, share, subscribe. If you love the comment, if you love the content. Any final words, Corey?
No.
No? All right. And we'll catch you in the next one, guys. Go Roos.
See ya.